Good afternoon, everybody. Bubba Scrubba here. Doing a new video with a mock draft I just completed, a 12-team point per reception mock draft I just did in Yahoo. I feel like let's go over a few rounds here. We'll go about to around 10 or 11, basically, when I filled out my starters, and I'll just give you guys some analysis on what I think is the best pick per round, what I think is the biggest reach per round, and reach per round. And also mix in some information here, just stuff that I've been reading about certain players, my thoughts about certain things. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so in this draft, I had, again, 12 teams. I had pick 10, which is a good position to start out of. Just, it's kind of close to the end of the round, so you get the tighter turn there, and, it doesn't give you the opportunity to get some of the top players. So, just a little bit more interesting as to what potentially could be there. And I also like those tight turns. Okay, so the beginning of this draft is fairly conventional. I'm not going to waste a ton of time in the first round. That being said, pick 5 here, Jonathan Taylor goes. This is probably the first surprise pick of this draft. Most of the fantasy scuttlebutt has been that running backs need to be selected early and often. It's my plan to do running back in the first 2 rounds. I know this used to be the doctrine for years. But I've always been kind of just take what's available to you, the best player available. But this year, I'm pretty much dead set on picking a running back 2 out of the first 3 rounds, basically. So after that, fairly conventional. I got to pick 10. I picked Cook. It was either between Cook and Barkley. The reason I picked Cook is just one. I think Buffalo, it's Super Bowl or bust with the new coach, the new stadium. I feel like the vibes around the team are just like, I mean, not that Cook didn't have a huge season last year. I just feel like, all the ships are sailing in the right direction for Buffalo. And also, furthermore, the other reason is because I just don't like Philadelphia. So I'd rather root for a guy. I can root for Buffalo. I can't really root for Philly, even in a fantasy capacity. So Cook, that's the tiebreaker for me, and it's as simple as that. As you can see here at the end of the first round, somebody went with Achan. Most of the rankings have Achan anywhere from mid to late second round. I'm not sure if this was just somebody screwing around, but they did Achan and Genty. I don't have a problem with that if you're a believer. I don't pick strictly off of, who's the highest available. I mean, sometimes I will, but most of the time I'm looking deeper because I'm looking for players that I think are in more interesting situations. Quite honestly, this Achan, I watched part of the Miami game last week, their first preseason game. He was on the field for I think at least 2 series, and the guy was getting all kinds of carries. So volume alone is probably worth it. So as we get into the second round here, you see we've got Chase Brown. Okay, so then it leaves right here. I was like, okay, Justin Jefferson. I mean, you got to make that pick. I feel like the only other guy I was really looking at was Derrick Henry, maybe Brock Bowers. If you want to jump off on the tight end one and play that arbitrage on that, but personally, I just thought Jefferson was great value there. So Ken Walker, Drake London, Derrick Henry. Okay, blah blah blah. This is pretty conventional. I would say, not to toot my own horn, but I think that I got the best value in this round with Jefferson being so deep here. I think one of the biggest reaches is going to be potentially Drake London. I know a lot of people are bullish on Atlanta. I'm not bullish on Tua Tagovailoa as the quarterback in Atlanta. I don't know. I just feel like we're just waiting for his next concussion. And Penix is coming off of an injury, so I just would not use this pick. I'd rather have Henry. I'd rather have Hampton. I'd rather have Bowers. The other pick I'm not a huge fan of is this Nico Collins. I'm just not big on the Houston offense this year. And this Jalen, or not Naylor, I forget what his name is, but he was the wide receiver too. He just went down with a torn ACL today. So potentially this bumps Nico's value up, but Nico has never been a paragon of health. So, maybe he's just looking at double coverage the whole time, or they're just going to run the ball even more. Maybe that makes David Montgomery a little bit more intriguing as well if, they don't feel like they can throw the ball as effectively. But otherwise, fairly conventional for the second round. In the third round, again, more wide receivers early and often. Here's Jeremiah Love. I don't mind this pick. I don't mind this pick. I don't love this pick based off of the fact that by all reports, this guy suffered a high ankle sprain. And as a rookie in a new, situation, you just don't know exactly what you're getting with him. They do have Tyler Algier. They have James Conner who's coming back. They have that Trey Benson still. So, I mean, this guy is head and shoulders better than all those players. But if he's already injured to start the year, then that could severely cap. I think, for this early of a pick, you're hoping for full health and he has a long runway and he just takes off and just never looks back. But if he's allowed to kind of get sucked into a quagmire, then maybe that depresses his value. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm shying away from him, but this might be a little too early for me based off of the current situation. Brees Hall's another one. I just don't like the offense, and he's suffered a groin injury and he's out for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Just bad vibes all the way around, man. Okay, so if we just look at Brees Hall, I'll take him as the baseline. Or Josh Jacobs, let's just look at him too. Another guy, okay, he was hurt. He's back on the practice field, but could be staring down the barrel of a suspension. I mean, I'm assuming it probably wouldn't be more than 1 or 2 games, so it would be a minimal. But of course, you don't want to lose these guys, and you have a bye week too, so you're losing him for, let's say he gets a 2 game suspension, you're losing him for 3 games. So if you look at this tier right here, okay, and then you look at what came afterwards, if I'm picking at this position here, I just go with Josh Allen. Or, potentially I go with Javonte because the guy scored 10 plus touchdowns last year. Or I go with Kyren because he's on the odds on Super Bowl favorite and super high end juggernaut offense. I feel like those are all more safe picks. Getting to my pick here, I went with Rashee Rice. It's my strategy this year to fade the tight end position. I've just been burned for many years. I don't know. Let's go back 5 years. I was picking Travis Kelce in the second round, or I was picking him in the third round. I had him for like 2 or 3 straight years. It was great. Last year, I did the same strategy with Brock Bowers because I had the first overall pick, and so I had to wait so long to get to my next pick, and so he was the most enticing player. It ended up blowing up in my face, so maybe I just have a bad taste about it. But I'm going to fade the tight end position this year. I'd rather fill out my roster with running backs and wide receivers galore, and then just take a chance on a guy later. You'll see what I did here shortly. Or Olave. Olave was on my team last year and he was pretty good. So I like Chris Olave too. I was kind of between these two guys. And I went with Rashid because I know, just Kansas City just targets this guy relentlessly. And for a possession guy, they still throw him the ball in the red zone a lot. So, pretty safe pick. I kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe the only, besides his legal status, is the state of Mahomes' knee. But by all accounts, that shouldn't be a reason to preclude you from making this pick. Not sexy, not like, oh, wow, I love this pick, but, just solid, rock solid. Okay, so let's get into the fourth round here. Had the short turn. I think Lamar Jackson here, this is the second quarterback off of the board. I think it's a little too early for Lamar here. Based off of his season last year and the fact that they have a new offense, they're going to be, by all accounts, throwing the ball more. I'm not so sure that's great. That's good for his real life value. I'm not so sure it's good for his fantasy value because maybe he's not going to be running the ball as much. He is getting a little bit older. So I don't necessarily like this pick at all here. I think you can wait on this on quarterback and get a guy who's just as good, if not better, 2, 3, 4 rounds deeper, and we'll see that here shortly. Another pick I don't like here is Jalen Waddle. I'm not a huge fan of Jalen, never have been a huge fan of Jalen Waddle. I'm not sure what kind of a lift he's going to get playing in the Denver offense, especially when you have Cortland Sutton there already. I feel like they're the same player. So they're going to cannibalize each other. Now, maybe Bo Nix just prefers to pass to Waddle. Who knows? But, I think just based off of what we know now, Cortland Sutton's going in like round 10. I'd rather have that value than pick here. So in this particular situation, I was looking for a second running back, and so I like Etienne. I was thinking about picking Etienne in the third round, but because I had the short turn, I just kind of, took the chance on that, and that's what you got to do in fantasy. Rather have Rashee Rice and Etienne than picking Etienne and then picking between Egbuka, or somebody like or McMillan or somebody like that. So lucky that he landed for me here. And with the news of the Alvin Kamara injury, where he's going to be out for at least a month, this pick is looking even better. I would expect that Etienne's draft stock is going to go up into the third round. Egbuika, I mean, again, I don't like this pick here. He's injured. He was injured a lot last year. This is becoming a trend with this guy. I mean, if he comes back, and he also has a turf toe injury, and a turf toe injury sucks for a wide receiver or a running back because you cannot cut on that foot, at least for weeks, if not months, before it fully heals. I'm staying away from this guy. I think this is, I don't want to say a reach. I just don't like this pick here. I'd rather have McMillan. I'd rather have McConkey. Montgomery, based off of is it Jalen Higgins, I think his name is, on the Texans. This might actually turn out to be a decent pick. But the other thing is I don't think you're going to get David Montgomery from the Lions. I think you're getting David Montgomery from the Bears. And, who was a middling player at best. I think his situation in Detroit elevated him. I don't think that that is the case here in Houston. I think a lot of people are overdrafting this guy. I could be wrong. I mean, he could get you to 8 touchdowns easily, but I don't feel like he has any real high-end skill. McMillan, I mean, round 4 might be a little early for me, but I mean, this guy has prototypical size. If you are a believer in the Dave Canales, Bryce Young experiment and think they're going to take another step forward, I mean, they were a playoff team last year, then, I guess this would be your guy. McConkey, no issue. Garrett Wilson, not a fan. Just don't like the situation. Don't like the Jets offense. I don't like that Geno Smith's throwing you the ball. I mean, I think that's, it's a recipe for disaster. Personally, I could go farther down this list and find guys I'd rather have than Garrett Wilson. I think people are just drafting him on name only. Love this DeAndre Swift pick here. I'm not saying I was picking between Etienne and Swift, but I was kind of looking between the two of them. I like the Chicago situation better than New Orleans, but Etienne is a little bit younger. And, by all accounts, I feel like this guy in this situation, it could be like another level for him, another gear that's unlocked. Whereas Swift, you pretty much know what you're getting. I don't mind this Tyler Warren, which is now what I think the third tight end in this draft, fourth tight end. You have Loveland here. But this guy just got injured today. Another groin injury. I don't know. This has been a bad year for groin injuries in the NFL for whatever reason in preseason. But this guy got hurt. We'll see. We got to do the testing on it and see what's going on there. Then you got Scadaboo here, which they just signed Najee Harris a couple of days ago. So I don't know what that means. You've got Tyrone Tracy. So you've got now kind of a four-headed monster in New York. You've got Scadaboo. You've got Tyrone Tracy. You've got what's his face? You've got Najee Harris, and you've got Devin Singletary there. Okay, so you've got 4 guys now. People are drafting this Cam Scadaboo like he's a slam dunk 3-down stud that isn't coming off of a catastrophic injury last year. I don't like it. I think it's way too rich for my blood. I'll let somebody else take this guy. I'd rather have Tyrone Tracy, to be honest with you. So there are quite a few. This is where, let's just highlight this. This 4th round is where fantasy dreams are made or lost. And you could either, propel your team to a championship or you could sink it early. I just see a lot of picks here that could be potentially just albatrosses. I don't like the Lamar Jackson pick this early. It's not that I don't like Lamar Jackson, I just don't like him this early. I don't like Waddle. I don't like Egbuika. I don't like Garrett Wilson, and I don't like Scadaboo. So I think all of these guys should be going deeper in the draft. Everything else I'm fine with. I do like the Etienne pick. Let's see if there's another one here that I think is a pretty decent pick. I like the Swift pick. That's it. So what am I at now? 2, where I've tooted my own horn. 2 out of 4 picks, or 2 out of 4 rounds, right? Yeah, we're doing good. Round 5. Okay, so DJ Moore. Not sure what you're getting with this guy. He's competing with Shakir. He's competing with Keon Coleman. He's competing with Kincaid. He's competing with James Cook, who a lot of reports were saying that they're going to target him out of the backfield a lot this year. He's going to get even more catches, and which is one reason why I drafted Cook. So could be a home run pick, but I mean, I guess we're getting into this, boom or bust kind of section of the draft. I prefer McLaurin. I feel like he's more projectable as Jalen Daniels' top target. Judkins, no issue there. I mean, Tootin. So I hyped up this Tootin on an earlier video that was based on kind of early pre-training camp hype. And then, in the first week or two, everybody was saying that this guy was the star of camp, but now that has been like, it seems severely depressed. It's gone in the other direction. So the reality is probably somewhere in between. He's not somebody that I would be shying away from, but maybe I'd prefer him at round 6 than round 5. At this particular juncture, hey, I'd rather have Luther Burden, even though he has his own groin injury, or Odunze, or Christian Watson. Any of these three guys I would pick above Bayshal Tootin at this point. Bucky Irving, another pick I'm not really too excited about this year. A lot of people think they're getting a 3-down banger stud, but I don't think it's going to be the case. With Tampa in particular, Egbuika is hurt. Jalen McMillan is hurt. So your top 2 wide receivers are both hurt right now. And so you're going to be playing some backups. And they signed Kenneth Kenny Gainwell. We'll call him Kenny. That's what he prefers, I guess, now. Kenny Gainwell is there, and I do feel like Kenny Gainwell is going to be a weapon that they're going to throw the ball to a lot because is what his speciality is. So I think third down's right there. Gainwell is going to be on the field for all third downs, and let's not forget old Sean Tucker, who's a banger and had a 3-touchdown game last year. He's going to cut into the red zone looks for Bucky Irving as well. Like the Drake May pick here. I went with Devontae. I don't like guys that are usually very old, and I don't like guys that just came off of a career season. I mean, this guy scored 14 touchdowns last year. I think it's a tall ask to say, is Matthew Stafford going to have another MVP caliber season, and is Devontae going to be able to stay on the field at 32, 33 years old? I think it's a tall ask, but I'm not asking for 14 touchdowns. I'm asking for, let's say, 8 touchdowns. And I just love the situation. Obviously, the Rams are going to score early and often. Jameson Williams, just a wild card, And then you got Travion here. Travion, classic boomer bust prospect. Unfortunately, his pass pro is not where it needs to be for him to really ascend to, take over that number 1 role, because he definitely has the juice to do so, which means that Ramondre is going to be lurking, waiting in the wings there. We'll get to that in a second. So if we look at round 5, I mean, I just feel like, again, there's a lot of questionable picks here. I don't mind Burden. I don't mind Adunze. I don't mind Watson. I don't mind Devontae. I don't even mind. Drake May, fine. I don't even mind Travion if you're, just kind of going for the home run there. But the rest of these guys are questionable. Even Tootin is okay. Judkins, okay. I guess, there's a few guys here I'm just not really too excited about. Nothing sexy here as far as I'm concerned. That being said, one of these guys will be a league winner this year. So in round 6, I was hunting for, at this point, I have 2 running backs and I have 3 wide receivers. So I'm looking for a backup running back and or flex. Let's see, you got Jadarian Price here. Okay. I mean, this guy's a rookie. This guy could be potentially a stud, but as a rookie, they always have to worry about the pass pro. You have to worry about the rookie wall, etc. Could be a little early for him. We'll see if he plays in this week's preseason game and how he does. This is going to inform a lot. If he's on the field a lot and is productive, then his value is going to go up. If not, it's going to go the opposite direction. This Jaden Daniels could be a home run pick, could be a league-winning pick if this guy reverts back to his rookie year form and stays healthy. What is he, the third or fourth quarterback off of the board? Might be a little bit too early for me. I think there's some other quarterbacks, like specifically even right here, Jalen Hurts, probably, or Herbert. Probably rather have one of those 2 guys. Tucker Kraft, pretty early for him, personally. Joe Burrow, yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. Laporta, I was hoping that Laporta's value was going to be depressed a little bit based off of the down season he had last year. That being said, by all accounts, this guy could be right back in the tight end 1 conversation. We'll see. Jalen Hurts, no, it's Jalen Warren, pretty decent prospect. I'd rather have Dowdle, so I'm going to do the arbitrage on that, and I'm going to try to get Dowdle as, like, let's say my running back 4. I prefer his game in Pittsburgh because he's going to probably get most of the short yardage goal line stuff. Warren more of the maybe third down specialist, although I think they're going to rotate first and second downs fairly evenly. Caleb Williams, don't mind him there. If he's also a league winning potential, or he has the ability to completely crater your team if he doesn't live up to the hype. We'll see. This Carnell Tate is a reach. It's a complete reach. This Jonathan Brooks also potentially. This is such a 50-50, man. This guy's missed 2 years with a catastrophic knee injury, both years. Is this guy going to somehow ascend to RB1 status? I think because of the Chuba Hubbard injury, people are drafting him like he's a slam dunk RB1. I don't see it. So if we had to say best value here, that's a good question. I think the jury's still out on this. I mean, this Jadarian Price could be great value depending on how it shakes out. I think Hurts is pretty good value. Caleb Williams is pretty good value. Herbert is pretty good value. Tate is a reach. Tate is a severe reach, and I think Brooks could be reach number 2 in this round. So we get into round 7 here. There's Chuba Hubbard, right back to back. Okay, so I mean, this is where the draft. This is a mock draft, obviously. So this is where it gets a little screwy. I don't know why he would pick this guy back to back. That's stupid. Tony Pollard, yeah, I like Dak. I was hoping that Dak was going to fall to me. Dak is my preferred QB1 this year in the quarterback fade kind of strategy that I'm going to run. I'm going running back, receiver, receiver, receiver. And then we're going to see, okay, is there a good tight end there or a quarterback? And that's kind of how I'm going to shake out my draft this year. I like Dak. I think he's going to have a big season, and he's a pretty good value at round 7 here. So Harold Fannin, don't know what you're getting. I mean, honestly, could be a superstar. He was really good as a rookie last year, but this is Cleveland after all. But maybe with Todd Monken as the head coach, this is a new Cleveland. I don't know. So let's see here. Kyle Pitts right here. Not Dobbins, not really, not too sexy. Godwin could be a decent pick just based off of the injuries in Tampa, but I think this is all name, no game. There's Rico Dowdle. Good pick. I like this pick. I went with this Parker Washington because by all accounts, he's the number 1 wide receiver in Jacksonville, and this guy's going to get peppered with targets. Mike Evans, good value here at round 7. Let's go biggest reach. I think maybe Dobbins is a reach based off of his injury history. I think Godwin's a reach. I think this Jakrowski merit, especially with Rachaad White there. I don't know why you wouldn't draft Rachaad White. I'd rather have Rachaad White than this guy. I don't know. So those are 3 big reaches. As far as value is concerned, best value, I'm gonna get. I like Rico Dowdle. I'm gonna go with Parker Washington. This guy was a stud last year. Mike Evans, based off of age, we'll see. Round 8 here. So I had a tight turn. So I'm looking at quarterback now, and it's either Brock Purdy. I'm a 49ers fan, so of course that would be fine with me. But then one of the strategies I really love is to stack. I love to stack guys. So if I have Parker Washington and I have Trevor Lawrence, that's awesome. I think he's kind of in that will he or won't he situation. Is he going to be able to back up what he did last year? But I also like the fact that he was running a lot last year and got goal line reps. So he's kind of like a Jalen Hurts light, maybe, or something like that. I like the Jacksonville situation this year overall. Kittle's a reach coming off of an injury, might not even be ready for week 1. Like Marvin Harrison here. Like this pick. This could be a huge pick. Could be a huge pick. I like Michael Wilson even better because of the fact that you're getting him even deeper, and he could be the number 1 guy. But I don't mind Marvin Harrison here. Don't mind Brian Thomas here. It's Jordan Tyson. This is a reach. This guy's injured. He's going to miss at least a month, if not longer. Monin guy, another guy with a groin injury. I like him, but based off of the injury, Josh Downs, pretty good pick here. There's Michael Wilson right there. Alec Pierce is injured. We don't know what he's going to do. So let's just look at this. I like the Marvin Harrison pick. I like the Josh Downs pick based off of the Alec Pierce injury thing. Although, I'm not sure what we're going to see out of Daniel Jones coming off of his Achilles injury. And I like the Michael Wilson pick. Okay, so let's say Harrison or Wilson. We don't know. Coin flip on, is it going to be either or is it going to be both? I don't know. But I like both of those picks. Biggest reaches in this round, I think Diggs. I think Jordan Tyson for sure. I think Kittle for sure. I know Kittle would be more of a 5th round talent if he wasn't injured, but I just don't like Achilles injuries. I don't think he's like 32 now. And I'm a 49ers fan. Of course, I want to see this guy do good, but I'd rather have somebody else. All right, we get into round 9 here. This is where we get into kind of the dregs, so we won't spend too much time here. Brock Purdy, pretty good pick right there. Round 9, that's good value. Cortland Sutton, that's good value there. Rashad White, rather have him than Jakoski. What is his name? Merritt, Bill. You know, what do they call him? They call him Bill. Where is he? Krosky Merritt. I'd rather have Rashad White down here. Kenny Gainwell is who I went with based off of the fact that I feel like he's going to get a lot of catches. So, at this point, you're kind of just getting into dart throw territory, like the Brock Purdy pick, like the Cortland Sutton pick. Round 10. Okay, so I went with Stribling just based off of how good he has looked in camp. The fact that Mike Evans just really is kind of nicked up this whole time. Looking at, just picks guys that I think could be good. I mean, it's Matthew Stafford in round 10 as your quarterback. You could do a lot worse, but you better back him up. I mean, you got Goff and Stafford right next to each other. I'd rather have Stafford, but that's good value, I think. When I looked at this again, and even Mahomes here, although Mahomes is, at this point of his career, as far as a fantasy producer, he's not that great. But afterwards, I looked and I didn't even see Stafford there, and I was thinking to myself, man, I probably could have just kept going instead of picking Lawrence there and picked Stafford later. But the fact that Murray's getting picked before Goff or Stafford, though, or even Mahomes, I think is ridiculous. All right, so. Seattle defense. Now, this is one thing. Okay, so you can see your first defense here. Seattle defense is the defense to pick this year as number 1. And the reason is because, yes, they're not as dominant as Houston's defense was last year, but they have that weapon, that secret weapon, in Rashid Shaheed, who's returning kicks and punts. So not only do you have an elite defensive unit, but you have an elite return guy. So Seattle deservedly is the first defense off of the board here. And we're just going to get, we'll finish at round 11 here. I picked Jake Ferguson as my, kind of faded tight end 1. This guy was decent last year in Dallas. No reason to think that he's not going to get 5-6 catches a game. Could threaten for a touchdown a game, assuming good health in Dallas. They're going to score a lot of points. Goddard is another one I was looking at, but I prefer Ferguson anyway. So let's just go up to the top here and just look at the overall roster. This is, again, 12 team, right? So Cook, we'll look at it from, just the traditional top down. So the quarterback is Trevor Lawrence. And then I have James Cook and Etienne as my starting running backs. In my league, we do 3 wide receivers. So I have Justin Jefferson, I have Rashee Rice, and I have Devontae Adams in those 3 receiver slots. I think that's pretty decent. And then we do 2 flex. Okay, so 2 flex. So I have Ramondre, I have Parker Washington. I have Kenny Gainwell. Stribling could be a steal if, based off of just how the 49ers season shakes out. And so I wouldn't have drafted, if you look at the end here, this is where I gave up. I picked Spears was the last pick I think I made. I wouldn't have picked Daniel Jones. Denver defense is fine. Cairo Santos as a kicker is fine. And this is really where the only thing I would maybe make a dip, like I would say is maybe I would have picked Seattle defense at, 12th round here or something like that, just to have like a filled out starting roster. But yeah, no, I think for 12 teams, it's pretty good. So, yeah, so that's it. This half-hour video just doing a mock draft. Okay, so I did a 10-team draft as well. That turned out like it was a veritable all-star team. It almost is comical how many good players I got. But we can do that review as well, and I'll try to give you some more analysis on some other players. Going forward, this is going to be more the format of the video. We're going to maybe be looking at some news online here from some of my favorite websites. And just kind of going through the news, going through the vibes after this weekend's preseason games. I'll try not to let the videos carry on too long. That being said, let's start getting some comments in there. You guys are watching my shorts, but not really watching the long form. But I'm trying to do better to, make this more visually interesting. But yeah, please appreciate everybody who's watching. All right, talk to you guys soon.